Welcome to Your Ultimate Life podcast, where we help you break free from mediocrity and create a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. Get your free video series at yourultimatelife.ca.
Hi there, welcome to Your Ultimate Life. Every tool, framework, hack, as it were, everything that I've learned about creating power, I know you have felt sometimes you're living below your capabilities. Isn't that frustrating? You know that you could do more, be more, create more, have more impact. You know that. And yet you live below that for whatever reason. I know that you felt it. I know that when you feel it, it bugs you. I know that you get after yourself. Why did I do that? Why am I so lazy or so unwilling to do the work required? I know that that happens. Sometimes it happens a little, and sometimes it happens a lot. Sometimes it lasts a second, and sometimes it might last a day, week, month, or year, or more. It doesn't have to stay that way. The sense that you can do more, be more, is absolutely true. You know how I know? You're a divine being. What does that even mean? It means that your creator is the same as the creator of the universe. You're not an afterthought. You're not an accident. You're not you're none of that. You're an intentional, focused, loving, carefully created being. Now, when we go through hard times in our lives, sickness, financial struggle, bankruptcy, people ripping us off or being unfaithful or, betrayal and that sort of thing, we might wonder, what did I do to deserve this? And the answer is usually nothing, because what happens to us and what we, quote, deserve are almost always unrelated. Now, if I break the law and I end up in jail for something, or if I take bad care of my body, I drink too much and I have cirrhosis of the liver or destroy other body parts, there's a causality there. But there's lots of stuff that happens that is uncorrelated. And so the idea that you're somehow not good, not worthy, that did something wrong or any of that, and that's how come you're suffering or struggling, is just not true. Now, you're free to live there and to assume that, believe it, and think it, but it's not true. What it does do is it gets in the way of your growth and progress. Because if you're blaming yourself for everything, now, like I said, if there's a direct causality, if I jump off a cliff and break my leg, okay, there's causality. But for most things, there isn't. And even when there is, there's always a way forward. So sitting in the blame game and sitting in the excuses and feel sorry for yourself and victim corner, as it were, you're free to do that. So am I, but it doesn't help. It doesn't grow. It doesn't build. It doesn't make anything happen that's positive. So the yearning that you feel to do more, be more, have more is real. It's true. And it comes from the very nature of who you are. Now, this is episode 800. This is episode 872 of Your Ultimate Life. And the title is What's in a Framework? And I gave that introduction about frameworks because I'm making some assumptions. I'm making some assumptions that if you're watching this podcast, then you have a desire to grow. You have a desire to develop, to be more, to do more, and have more. And I'm also assuming that the have more isn't driven by greed. I just need more money and more stuff so I can be cool and feel good about myself. I'm assuming that that's not the driver. I'm assuming that the driver is because you feel that yearning to do good, to develop, to grow. Like every living thing in our world is programmed to grow. Seeds sprout and they grow. Little babies learn to walk and they develop and grow. The entire cycle of life is built around an innate yearning to grow, sometimes expressed, sometimes just built into reaction. But our yearning, yours and mine, is real. And it comes from our divine heritage. And there was another episode where I talked about 3 words that sort of drive this development. And here they are: divinity, capability, possibility. And they're in that order. The divinity of your soul and your creation is unquestioned and inarguable. That's just who you are, and nothing you or I can do can change that. So we can allow that truth to affect us in positive ways, or we can ignore it and blow it off. Yeah, nah. Jokes are, well, when God handed out blessings, I got missed, and, jokes that you've heard like that. None of that's ever true. The divinity of your being is a given. That means you're precious. God doesn't spend time making garbage. He doesn't spend time making cast-offs. We might choose to cut, to cut ourselves off. We might choose to mistreat ourselves and create distance, but that isn't God's doing, it's ours. I know that from personal experience. Powerful, deep, and bitter personal experience. Any distance that there was between me and the divine was my doing. The stretched out hand of opportunity for the divine is always there. So the first of the 3 words is divinity. That's a fact. Nothing you or I can do can change that. What we do with it is our choice. We can do nothing. We can laugh at it. We can ignore it. We can pretend it away. It doesn't change the truth. If you embrace it and lean into it, it leads to the next word, which is capability. If you spend your time fighting or ignoring the truth that you're a divine, beloved, intentional creation, then the capability that comes with that lies largely untapped. So your divinity is a fact. Your capability flows from that fact. But if I ignore my divinity, then my capability lies dormant, unused, minimally developed. You can understand. It's not complicated to see that. So your divinity defines a truth that you have capability. Now, all of us were given different gifts and talents. We all came in various stages of development. Some people came with, different gifts, very intelligent or very emotionally intelligent, or gifted in art or music or other things. But every person has a set of gifts, the capability that you were given and probably developed before you came. Another capability that's part of this absolute truth is the fact that you're divine. Because that's true, then you have the capability to develop toward your heritage, which is this divine heritage. So that means your capability has no bounds. Now, the number of gifts that I have or you have are, they're limited, 3, 4, 5, 10, I don't know. And maybe there are tons of them we just don't even know how to describe. Those are facts, but if we do nothing with them, then they remain useless. If we spend our time angry or in denial or frustration, then they don't do much for us. Sometimes, and I've been here very much, you get angry and say, why are these other hardships? Yeah, okay, God created me, and yeah, somewhere there's a purpose. Okay, fine, but there isn't much that I'm able to do because of all these hardships. Physical hardships, mental hardships, emotional hardships. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you have mental illness. Maybe you grew up in poverty. Maybe you have a broken piece of body, some piece of your body, and doesn't function like it ought to. Everybody has some. Some people seem to have a lot more than others. That's fine. You can be angry about that, or you can go with it, because what is. So capability is the innate developmental possibility that we have. So that's the capability, but it lies dormant unless we do something. So the divinity drives the fact that we have not only certain gifts and talents, but because we came from the divine, we have the ability to develop toward that being, become like the divine more and more. Now, the third word that goes from divinity capability is possibility. Possibility is what we find when we take the capability and develop it fully. Someone might have great musical talent, and if they do nothing with it, then the possibility isn't realized. Someone may have great intellect, but if they don't develop it and use it, then the possibility isn't realized. Someone may have wonderful, innate emotional skills and sensitivity, but if they don't develop and use it, add good to the world, then the possibility remains unutilized. So divinity, capability, and possibility are the three words that I've talked about before, but they lay a good framework, a good foundation for what I want to talk about today, which is, what is a framework? Well, when I wrote the book, The Story Arc, this book here, which is Practical and Persuasive Magic for speakers, authors, and storytellers, if you feel like you should write a book, this is the best guide there is, period. This is the definitive guide about how to take, and I'm talking nonfiction. I'm not talking about writing Lord of the Rings or fiction. I'm talking about writing nonfiction that's based on your life experience. If your desire is to take your gifts, talents, and life experience and turn it into an offering, a business, or a way to serve and add good to the world, that's the book to use. But anyway, I wrote that because I created the system that's in it after I started writing books. So I didn't start writing books until after until 2007, 2008. I had a divine intervention, and you know those stories. And if you don't, go back and find the episodes. I'm not going to repeat them here, but I had a miraculous set of interventions that changed my life. Walked away from a 30-year career, started life over again, became an author and a coach, and what I'm doing now, which I love, fiercely, furiously. But anyway, what I discovered in writing, not only writing books, but also creating programs, creating keynote speeches, so where you go and you're a speaker at an event, creating workshops, 1 day, 3 day workshops, online workshops, products and services that you can sell, all founded on your personal story. Now, I did a podcast episode a little while ago about monetizing your story, and this all plays into that. Today, I want to talk about one particular piece called a framework. A framework is an organizational tool. It's a thing that you create so that what you have to share is memorable, easy to access. So that's what a framework is. And sometimes we use pictures like a Venn diagram, 3 circles that overlap. And, in the 3 circles, there are different words. And then you can see in the overlapping point, there is the superpower. Sometimes 3 triangles does the same thing. Sometimes you can use a graph where you represent, one axis and the other. And, you can see visually a set of representations that makes clearer the relatedness and the effectiveness of what you're teaching. So a framework is a tool, a visual tool to help show relationships between principles, the effectiveness and power of principles, like when in overlapping areas of circles or triangles, or what happens like in a diagram when you have a lot of one thing and none of another, and that kind of thing. You've seen all this stuff before. So that's what a framework is. And you need to create one, not to live your life. If you're trying to create a product or service with which you help people overcome or meet a particular challenge, and you want to offer it in the world and make money. So let's say you're trying to do what I've said 100 times, at least 100. You want to make money with your life experience. You want to make a business out of serving people with your skills, your natural gifts, and your life experience. And we've talked about the triple helix before in other episodes. So if you want to do that most effectively, you need to create a framework and show the relationships, because otherwise all that you give someone is a set of tips. Okay, here's a bunch of tips, 10 rules for this or 10 ideas for that. And there's nothing wrong with 10 ideas for this, that, and the other. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm saying is it's nowhere near as powerful when you just sort of put it together as 10 tips, 10 ideas, 10 ways to this, that, and the other. If you organize what you have learned into a framework, a pictorial representation, like I said, Venn diagram, circle, pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a framework, for example. You've seen tons of those, and so have I. And they're in all, I don't know all, but nearly all of my books have a pictorial representation of what I'm trying to show, teach, explain, give, provide, so that it's more effective, more memorable, and powerful. So one of the ways I do this, for example, even in this story process, is I have a framework and I use a rainbow. And there's a picture of a rainbow. And at one end of the rainbow is the person who doesn't yet have your gifts and talents and explanation and learning, who hasn't yet been blessed with your experience and wisdom. And they are desperately in need of it. So it's not everybody at the end of the rainbow. One end of the rainbow is a person who needs what you've learned and doesn't have it yet. The other end of the rainbow is that same person who's had the benefit of learning and internalizing and utilizing fully everything you have to teach. Now, you can see there's a clear difference. If you have a framework for overcoming a depression, for example, and here at this end, there's someone who doesn't understand what to do, and I'm not talking about medication or shrinks. Those have their place, but I'm talking about personal behavior, attitudes, and choices. At this end and this end, they're completely different people. I use that one because I've walked that rainbow. And yeah, I've seen tons of counselors, and yeah, I've experimented with antidepressants and all that. But the most effective thing hasn't been either one of those. The most effective thing have been the things that I've learned to do: meditation, managing my mindset, understanding the onset, looking for triggers, all of the things that you learn to do or you can learn to do. So me over here at this end of the rainbow is sad, confused, I don't know what to do. And then at the other end of the rainbow, I'm empowered, I'm enlightened, I'm educated, I'm committed, I know what to do, and I'm way happier. I feel more in control. I don't feel like a victim. Okay, so you get the idea. A framework, in this case, the rainbow, is a visual tool to demonstrate what you have to teach. Now, the purpose of this podcast is to help you create your ultimate life, a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. And how this framework thing relates to that is your purpose. What is it? What is the reason you get up and breathe air every day? If you don't know, that's where to start. When you discover or declare, or both, usually it's declare, your purpose, how you express it, that's the genesis of a framework. How am I going to share, give, teach, coach, provide the thing that I want to do as my purpose? Even if it's something like building Habitat for Humanity houses or eliminating, illiteracy or something. There's still a framework. It's a visual representation of a process to increase awareness, to take action, and to get results. You got to create awareness. You got to get motivated and get people motivated so you can take some action and then adjust and execute that action until there's results. So that involves creating a framework, a process. And a framework, like I said, is a visual representation of that activity. Now, if you don't know how to do this, this is a place to learn, because there's 2 or 3 frameworks in here. One is there's 2 big ones. One is the rainbow, and the other is the developmental story matrix, which is the tool to help you discover your most effective offering. So this is the second point. We've talked about what a framework is. The second point is you need one. If you're going to most effectively, now I'm not going to say you can't help people without a framework for your teaching and learning, but I'm saying it's 1,000 times more effective, powerful, memorable, relatable when you have it. Okay, so think about it. You or I, we can go try to help add good to the world, make our business, make our living, doing the thing that we have to share. And that's fine. I can make you a promise. If you create a visual, relatable, understandable, compelling model of how someone can learn, take action on, and get results from what you have to teach, you'll make 1,000,000 times more difference. Frameworks are ways to remember things, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Everybody remembers a triangle and starts with basic needs and ends with self-actualization. We've all seen that. We all know it. Why is it memorable? Because it's a pyramid and it has 4 or 5 steps in it, and we all sort of remember what they are. Okay, so maybe you've seen the Japanese representation of Ikigai, those 4 circles, and it's a representation of finding your purpose, of doing what you were created to do. So a framework increases our ability to remember something. It's memorable. Okay, we see the pictures, we see the words in there, and it helps us remember, whether it's circles or triangles or pyramids or, graphs or anything. It can be anything you want as long as it represents well the ideas you're trying to communicate. It becomes memorable, it's easy to remember, easy to understand. And another really important thing is it demonstrates the relatedness of things. Okay? Relatedness. Now, I have a framework I use in one place. On one axis is motivation, and on the other axis is vision. And you can see, right? If I have a lot of motivation and no vision, then I describe that as like a chicken with his head cut off. I'm doing stuff. I don't know what I'm doing, no vision. Well, way out here, if I have a lot of vision and no motivation, then I'm a dreamer. We can see that the most effective way is to have vision and motivation increase together. And it's easy to see on a graph like that. So those are just a couple of simple examples. There's hundreds of them, right? People have made frameworks, pictures out of Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. And you've seen hundreds of them. Yours is important. So this is not about somebody else creating the ultimate life. This is about you creating purpose, prosperity, and joy. A driving purpose that gets you up every day and lights you up. A prosperity which allows you to take that purpose, turn it into a business, serve people, and create awesome cash. All that you want and more. That's possible. I'm doing it. I help other people do it. It's magic. And you know what? It's the most fulfilling thing in the world. It's where the joy comes in because, not Joy, my wife. She comes in there too because she's my partner. But the joy is when you see people, I ask people that all the time. What is it that why do you do what you do? 90+% of the time I get this answer. There's nothing that compares to the joy of seeing someone succeed, of helping them over a hurdle, a barrier, a struggle, and seeing them, the joy that they have in victory. Now, I don't know why we're built like that. I have an idea. I think God made us that way so we'd love and serve each other. So you need one. And the best way to make a framework that encapsulates your learning, your teaching, what you would love to share is follow the processes here. Follow the processes in the story arc. But whatever you do, you got to create one because it represents more powerfully what you have to share. It makes it more memorable. So it's more powerful, it's more memorable, and it's something easy to relate to look at for pieces. What am I missing? What am I not doing? Okay, so that's the first 2 parts. The last part I wanted to talk about is something called lexicon and language. Okay? Another thing that makes your system, whatever you have to offer, give, serve with, memorable is to create your own language. Lexicon. Now, I'll give you some funny examples of ones that I have created. One is Witot, Witot, and I call it a fungus, the Witot fungus. And I say the Witot fungus has killed more people than COVID ever will. And I created that acronym 4 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic, getting over 4 years now, 4+. And it stands for what I think others think. And it just represents the idea that we're so worried about people's opinions, dissing us or loving us or hating us, that we don't, that fear gets in the way of us doing stuff. So everybody that works with me, or even peripherally, and people that have heard my talks and everything, know what the Witot fungus is, right? And people laugh and they remember what I think others think. Okay, another piece of framework that I have is a BDEEP, BDEEP, and it stands for beliefs, definitions, experiences, expectations, and perceptions. That is the filter that each of us wears. We have a certain set of beliefs about people, about things, about how the world works, about how worthy or capable we are. Definitions, what things mean. Experiences, all the stuff that's happened. Expectations, what we believe will happen. And perceptions, which is how we perceive things going on around us, others' intentions and actions. So I use the word be deep as the defining characteristic of our context straitjacket. And a context, remember people say, oh, they took that out of context, right? And that means they distorted the meaning. Well, context is the meaning that we have about life and people and things and opportunity and possibility. And usually it operates as a straitjacket. Now, if you're not watching the video, I've been holding my arms up by, holding my shoulders with my opposite hands like a hug or a straitjacket. And that set of that be deep operates as a straitjacket because mostly our beliefs, definitions, experiences, expectations, and perceptions limit us because we believe we're not capable, we can't, it won't work, not good enough, too late, too soon. All of those, I never get the breaks, I never get the gig, that kind of language. And that's based on, guess what, past experience and our expectations and all the rest. So that's just another piece of lexicon, the be deep, that we all live in. And the truth is, it's not real. It's something we made up out of those sets of experiences, the BD, beliefs, definitions, etc. So context straitjacket, be deep, Witot, and I have many, many others that I have developed and I use. And guess what? They're memorable. They're very clear. Nobody else is using anything like that. There are others that use other things that define some of the same ideas. I know that. But when I work with people in my books that I write and the systems that I teach, all of those things use that language and lexicon. And you know what it does? It makes your framework more memorable. It makes your teachings more powerful. It makes you able. It enables you to add good to the world more powerfully, in a better and bigger way. And guess what? That is more fulfillment of purpose, more prosperity, cash, and cash is measured because of the good you're adding to the world. And some people get all twisted around the axle and think, well, if I'm doing good, I can't charge for it. Nonsense. When was the last time you got to go shopping for free? People growing food and providing it to you is a good and service. You pay for it. Why? Because that economic exchange keeps the world running. So the idea that you can't or shouldn't charge and charge well for the things that you do is just not true. Not true. It just means that you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe what you have is valuable. And you know what else is funny? When we don't pay for stuff, we don't value it either. So the exchange of money is a powerful motivator on both sides. It acknowledges the effort in creation and acknowledges the commitment of the purchaser. When we get stuff for free, we generally don't value it anyway, but that's a whole different topic. So creating your own lexicon and language based on your framework, which is based on the ideas that you have to share, is a powerful way to create products and services that will allow you to express your purpose, to love and serve, to lift and bless people in a way that they pay you well for, and to experience the joy of seeing people grow, develop, and succeed because of what you've given them. So that's what a framework is, and that's why it's powerful, and you need to do that. Now, I showed you a couple of times the book, The Story Arc. It's available on Amazon. This isn't trying to be a huckster for books. I wrote that book because I couldn't find it. And I realized that what I describe in there is a simple and powerful way for anyone, including you, to discover your story, to organize it, to articulate it, to create a framework that describes it, and then to offer it to the world in a way that's valuable to those who get it and profitable for you because of the effort and energy you've put into it, and because literally of the value of the good, the power, the encouragement that you are adding to the world. Creating your ultimate life is not complicated. It is rigorous and difficult, but it is not complicated. It is a choice to live in love and service. It is a choice to look out for the other guy. It is a choice to trust your own divinity and therefore access your capability and create your possibility. Divinity, capability, possibility. That's a mini framework right there. Your divinity is a fact that provides you with certain capability. If you magnify and maximize that capability, you can create an infinite possibility. You can add good to the world. You can make all kinds of cash, and you can experience exquisite joy, purpose, prosperity, and joy. I want you to think about your words for ultimate life. Those are mine. You can use them if you want, but you deserve it. You can have it, and it's available to you. So I give you every piece of love and encouragement I can. Go build your ultimate life.
Open your heart and this time around, stand.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. We hope that you take it deeply into your heart and decide for yourself how you can create anything you desire. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to this podcast and share it with your friends. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback and topic suggestions. Until tomorrow, this is Your Ultimate Life with host Kellen Flukiger.
Stand with your heart in the sky and your feet on the ground.